What's up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, I don't even think he needs an introduction at this point. They've seen your face so many times, Andrew, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And AJ,
as my 11-year-old daughter would say, sucks to be you.
I love the Ellie shout out right there, man. That's good stuff. But as you guys can tell from the title, we're here for the fourth ever installment of our Carolina football ISO series, which we started a few weeks back. If you haven't seen the other videos, just click our channel after this one. You'll see a playlist on the front where you can go check all those out. And obviously stay tuned for the other ones we'll be rolling out over the next few weeks and months. But AJ, with the offseason officially here, for spring officially behind us, not only is it a great time to do this series, it's a great time to head over to our website, TarHeelIllustrated.com, which you can find by just clicking the description below. You'll find the link in there. Sign up for our premium boards, $8.33 a month. You get premium access to content. There's some content that we put on the front that you can't see unless you're signed up for the premium. So definitely take advantage of that. Go sign up. You get a ton of access. You get a ton of scoops in the boards. You get a ton of, insight and analysis of what's going on as we interact with different people. And you also get to join a really fantastic community of Carolina fans that, live and breathe it, just like I'm sure many of you watching it. Yeah. And recruiting as well. We do a ton of recruiting, and we'll be going to some recruiting events and different things around the country and up and down the East Coast this summer. So with
almost
the offseason right now,
almost everything David Sisk does.
Yeah. It's in there.
If you're going to access his stuff, you've got to be on premium.
It's a great time to do it. It's a fantastic time to do it in the off season ahead of the season starting, because obviously, like you guys know, recruiting never stops. So ton of recruiting stuff in there as well that you can access. So head on over to our website, TarHeelIllustrated.com, after this video is done, of course, and sign up for just $8.33 a month. But as you guys can tell by the title, we're here to talk about UNC transfer running back Ty Chandler, a guy that obviously transferred from Tennessee, had a really nice 4-year career as a volunteer, finished fifth all-time in all-purpose yards for Tennessee, played a lot in his 4 seasons there as well, and now he's at Tar Heel. Now, earlier in the spring, during Carolina spring practice, we got to watch 3 open practices, 2 open scrimmages, which is a part of that. We obviously got to see the spring game as well. So I know early on we didn't really get to see a ton of Chandler, especially in those first 2 practices and in terms of being out in space and seeing what he offers. But from what we've seen in the other ones and what we've seen in the spring game as well, I think Chandler's a guy that I think a lot of people are expecting him and DJ Jones to get a majority of the carries for the Tar Heels this season. Now we'll have to see how that ultimately ends up working out when Carolina starts their season up in Blacksburg here in the next couple months. But overall, I think what you're getting in Chandler is an experienced guy. You're getting a guy that can run. You're getting a guy that can step out of the backfield and catch a pass. You're getting a guy that's been praised by Mac Brown, especially during the spring, for his pass blocking ability as well, which was something with Javonte and Michael leaving that Carolina really needed to replace. You get an experienced guy that's proven he can do it in the SEC. You bring him over to Carolina, and I think that's a really good – I know it's only 1 year you're going to get him, but a really good 1-year stopgap to have when you just consider how talented he is and how proven he is at this point. So, AJ, what are your just kind of overall thoughts on not only Ty Chandler, but what you've been able to see from him so far?
Like the first thing is what we haven't really seen much of is his ability to help in pass protection. They're young outside of him. They have DJ Jones, who even missed part of last year and his only year in the program. Young guy still learning how to be a pass protector. Elijah Green played an offense. He won 3 straight state titles at the 4A level in Georgia, the high level there. But he was in a run-dominant offense, which is why he racked up so many yards and was such a great player there. Didn't have to pass block or run routes. So then you've got Caleb Hood, who was a quarterback last year in high school in Richmond County, who's now learning how to play running back. And then you got Josh Henderson and Bruce Brooks, the 2 guys who played in the Orange Bowl. One of the reasons they brought in Chandler was because they have to improve their pass protection, period. Starting up front with the tight end helping. Garrett Walston blocked a lot last year, maybe more than they would prefer. And they've got to get help from the running back position in pass protection. They were 100th in the nation in allowing sacks per game, 2.83 sacks per game. They've got to improve that if they're going to contend for a spot in the CFP. So one of the reasons that they went out and got Ty Chandler was to bring a guy in who immediately knows how to recognize blitzes. He can pick stuff like that up. If an offensive line does something at the line of scrimmage, I don't want to get into all the technology and stuff like that because a lot of people won't understand that, where they're able to get through and someone has to pick them up and help keep Sam protected. Ty is the kind of guy that can help out with that. He then will know when to release and become an open receiver and a safety valve at times if there is a pass rush and he misses on something. So he's seen it all. He's doing that against SEC defenses for 4 years. So the first thing is they've got an experienced guy who can protect the passer. The second thing is, as Max said, he's fast. He could turn the edge. You're right. We finally got to see in the third scrimmage, to see him turn the corner. Boom, he darted upfield. When that nose was pointed toward the goal line, boy, he really got fast. And I think that's something, look, this offense wants to play fast. You've got to be fast to be in the offense. It's all about fast. It's all about speed. It's all about tempo. It's all about wearing down the opposition. And he's the kind of guy that when he turns a corner and gets his nose turned upfield, he could do that either as a receiver or as a running back. And the other thing is 4 years in the SEC. Tennessee was once a highly successful program, one of the programs back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Volunteers have kind of struggled some in recent years, just had a coaching change. So he wanted to go somewhere where he could win. He wanted to go somewhere where he could play on a team that every snap they take is very meaningful, and where they end up at the end of the season could be based on how they do on each of those snaps. And I think with North Carolina, it's a credit to the program how much it's grown so quickly under Mac Brown that when Chandler, who was highly coveted, was looking for a place to go where he can enhance his stock, where he could have a great personal experience, but also win games, he chose North Carolina. I think he'll be rewarded with that with a lot of playing time because he's good enough, and also because he's the right guy out there that can help them with the stuff that maybe gets overlooked from the average fan. Pass protection is an incredibly important thing, and it must be this year. They got to keep people off of Sam. He got hit too much last year, and in order to keep him healthy and not have to dive into that quarterback room, they need to protect him. And I think that's one of the big reasons that Ty Chandler is now a Tar Heel.
AJ, I want to ask you one last thing. When you look, you talked about, and we've talked about some of the things that he brings. Pass blocking is great. Experience is great. His speed in the open field is great. His ability to catch passes is good. I mean, all that stuff is big for this team, especially when you consider how young the running back position group is now. I think the most important thing that he brings to this year's team, when you've got a guy like Sam Howell, which I'm glad you mentioned, who obviously Carolina's going to be they like to throw the ball a lot in this offense, like to run a lot as well. But when you got a guy like Sam Howell back there, you're going to be expected to toss the rock around. Now, Carolina's offensive line is extremely experienced, but when you look at that room overall and just how young it is, do you think that his pass blocking ability might be the most important thing that he immediately brings to this team going into the season?
Well, they got to run the ball too. I mean, I think one of the things, if you want to keep guys off of Sam, don't have him throw 60 times a game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The more he's back there, going through his progression, the better chance he has to get hit more. So you have to have a running game. Running the ball. Look at the Miami game when they ran for 439,000 yards.
Javonte had
they didn't need Sam to do it. Sam didn't really, I don't think he even got hit that game. I don't remember. I have to go back and look at the ball.
He was chilling.
If you're running the ball with a lot of success, then Sam's not going to get hit that much. If teams respect the RPO, so they have to respect the fact that you might run on that play, they're going to be less inclined to blitz. They're going to maybe be a split second late with their rush because they're trying to gauge what Sam's going to do with the ball. They can only respect the RPO if you have a good run game to go with it. So effectively running the ball is just as important to me as being able to pass protect because it helps soften the defense with its rush in that sense. However, the pass protection was a big thing. I also think they needed a voice in that room.
Yeah.
When the running back, people say, why do they call it room all the time? Well, because they actually have a running back's room.
Yeah, literally.
They go over film and they have meetings and stuff. They need to have been there, done that guy in that room.
Yeah.
Without him, the most experienced guy would be British Brooks because of the special teams reps that he's had. And he did carry the ball 15 times in the Orange Bowl. No disrespect to British Brooks, but if you're going to contend for the CFP, you need to have a little more in that room. You need that guy in the room in the workouts they had before spring, during the spring, and now that they're in the late spring, summer OTAs and player-led practices, that room needs a guy that can smack fannies, that can speak from a been there, done that perspective, and a guy that commands respect. And I think Ty Chandler can do all of that. So his importance isn't just going to be the number of yards he rushes for and the number of touchdowns he scores. It's going to be all encompassing. Mm-hmm. And the other guys can learn a lot from him. He's going to make DJ Jones better. He's going to make Elijah Green better. He's going to make Caleb Hood better and Josh Henderson and so on. He makes the room better. They needed to strengthen that room, and that's also why they brought him in.
Agreed. Good stuff, AJ. Yeah, I think Chandler for me is one of the guys, if not the guy, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing in a real game the most, just because, like you said, we just haven't been able to see. You can go watch his Tennessee highlights all day, but in terms of seeing him in person against live competition, he's one of the guys that I'm really going to be kind of looking forward to seeing what he can do when, obviously Carolina opens this season up in Blacksburg here over the next couple months. So, yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap this one up. Chandler, ton of experience to that room, guy that can kind of do it all and that's proven he can do it. So, going to be really interesting to see what kind of season he has in his 1 year as a Tar Heel. But guys, one last time before we wrap this thing up, head on over to our website after this video is done. Sign up for our premium boards, just $8.33 a month. I've talked about all the access and all the great stuff you get from it, so I won't go ahead and rehash that, but just click the description below. You'll see a link to our website. You can go over there and sign up for that. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. You guys know what to do. If you enjoyed it, like it, share it, subscribe it, maybe even go tell a friend, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.